must constantly look at things in a different way.
The Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast was created by two physical therapists out of the desire to learn more about the different educational roles in physical therapy and healthcare, and how healthcare education works by talking with educational leaders and people with different perspectives within physical therapy and across interdisciplinary lines on how education can be improved to disrupt the status quo of healthcare education. This is our journey, and thanks for listening. Are you a third-year physical therapy student that excels on tests when you have study guides, checklists, and deadlines? With all of the information available about how to prepare for the NPTE, it's easy to get disorganized and not feel prepared going into the big day. NPTE Prep Success is an online course that provides PT students easy-to-use study guides and step-by-step guidance through the NPTE preparation. To learn more, visit kylericeprep.com. Thank you again all for your continued support, and now for the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. F. Scott Field, and I have with us today a very interesting guest, Dr. Francis Espinola. Francis, why don't you tell us a little bit about your academic background and how it led you to where you're at today?
Hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Scott, by the way, Dr. Scott, for just allowing me to guest in your podcast here in HET. It's an honor. Just want to give you a heads up. So I graduated my bachelor's of physical therapy. I'm foreign trained. I graduated in the Philippines at 2006, worked there in different settings. In the Philippines, you need to find ways to make a living as a physical therapist because technically if you enter nursing, physical or occupational therapy school, you are really bound to go abroad. So there's no other way to go and stay there because if you want to make a good living, you need to really go abroad. So I worked there, built my experience from hospitals, schools, and also taught in the school where I graduated my bachelor's degree a little bit as a clinical instructor. Then, I was blessed to somehow be sponsored by a staffing agency that, helped migrate physical therapists here in the US set their foot, on the ground and sponsor them until they get like legal good immigrant status here in the US. And I've done that since 2011. I've been a legal immigrant 2 years after, around 2013, and now I'm a US citizen. So everything went well, but probably we'll discuss a little bit about my DPT journey because I'm just talking about me just entering the United States and learning all the hustle and bustle, the joys and the challenges of working as a physical therapist here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think, it's important to kind of hear everybody's academic journey because it's very different, and it leads to different things and different outcomes. And you being a relatively new grad now, I think is important for people to see, that we do burn out. Burnout is a real thing. People experience burnout. And I'd like for you to talk, if you don't mind, a little bit about your experience and some of the burnout you've experienced.
Sure. So as I said, I started, doing physical therapy job in 2011. So for the past 10 years, I've been doing, I'm the kind of person that will try different setting to see what I'm really good at. Eventually, think about any setting probably that you're thinking of, except home health pediatrics. I've done everything. But probably what I would say that's close to my heart is really geriatric home health. I love the fact that you're treating patients one-on-one. Just because technically you're still an employee, you're probably, whatever the policy of the employer is, you need to abide with that. Plus, from the past 5 years, I would say there are different changes in home health where there will be, reimbursement changes, the type of, the protocols that you need to use, and, the utilization of, let's say, PT assistants or OT assistants under your supervision, that already changes. And that's really what causes you to feel like, okay, it's really physical therapy just helping people? Because if it's just helping people, I love helping people. That's not a problem for me. But with the changes and the expectations that, you started from 80% productivity and now I'm hearing like 95% productivity. So it means that, do I need to clock out just to do my notes? I think that's not fair. And I think that needs to be uphold a little bit more for accountability because that can be abused. And, we are physical people. We get tired also. So, and then that's why I go to DPT school at Utica College last 2020, and I graduated last year, 2021. Not because I want to stay as an employee. I want to start my own business and practice. So technically, the burnout is the fuel for me to get burning in, because I want to explore my options being an entrepreneur, and having a doctorate will really give you a good leverage to do that.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points there. I think, one, productivity is a beast, right? Like a lot of these facilities, and I've worked at a bunch as well, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, home health, productivity above 90% is tough to do. And if you can do it, it's not necessarily sustainable all the time, And so I tell a lot of my students, and I tell, some of my coworkers and colleagues that, like, look, if we keep pushing this on new grads, eventually they are going to burn out. It happens. I see it time and time again, which then leads them into a lot of these, well, did I pick the right profession questions, right? And what can I do to get out of this questions? And, it's sad to me, but like realistically, I firmly believe that one of the only ways to get ahead in the field of physical therapy is to own your own business.
Agree.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be a patient care based business, right? We have the skill sets and we have the things to do. We have the know-how based on our graduate schooling, right? To do many, many different things. Physical therapist is a very well-rounded profession,
I agree.
We're constantly educating, right? We're all educators on some way, shape, or form, right? We're all trying to figure out how to best communicate with our patients and with our colleagues and with other, medical professionals. Mm-hmm. So we have these life skills and we have these experiences that we can then put to good use. Mm-hmm. And, one of the ways that we can do that, one of the things that I brought you on to talk about today, mm-hmm. Is something that I've just recently delved into, and that's life coaching, right? Mm-hmm. And, what I like to do, I like to call it BLC coaching, right? Business, mm-hmm. life, and career coaching, because I've been doing that for the last 10 or 15 years mm-hmm. anyway, right? I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. I do all those things anyway, and I'm a lifelong learner. Yeah. So for me, it's going to be important to go ahead and get that extra education, try to supplement what I've already been doing with more information and knowledge, and then take the extra step to get certified if need be, right? So let's talk a little bit about you and your journey into life coaching, because it seems like a pretty good option for people that may be experiencing burnout, or maybe talking about different avenues to kind of keep one foot in the boat of healthcare, but then maybe drift away a little bit as well.
Oh, definitely. You know what? I'm just giving you a clear background because, of course, as a certified life coach, the history behind it, how it get dealt upon, and so. As I said, life coaching started around the 1980s by Thomas Leonard. He's an American financial planner at first. But what he realized is that when he did financial planning, the clients that he has want to do more, to have more from him. Don't just tell them the ropes on how to do financial planning. They want to organize their life and make sure that they're hitting their goals like every month or every year. So that changed the perspective of just being a financial planner. So that's where he said, okay, I'll not just do life coaching, but I'll do life planning as well. So that's where it all began. Sadly, Thomas Leonard died at age 49, but he started a legacy of life coaching, and he started what they call Coach U, or like Coach University or something. So that made me somehow think, you know what? As a physical therapist, we're dealing with different patients, and they have their own goals and aspirations, not just financially, of course, health-wise, to be better, to get back working again, something like that. So why not use, since I've realized that dealing with home health patients, the first 2 weeks is technically educating them. Like 3/4 of my time is educate, and start just doing light exercises anyway. So the teaching part as a physical therapist is right there. The cheerleading part. That's what I like to see. We are technically cheerleaders for them to stay on the plan of care that we have built on for them and we have agreed upon. But the motivation, that's what really determines the outcome of the physical therapy treatment. Their motivation, some of them just fall away because they're not motivated. They don't believe in the system. But our goal is to, hey, you're making progress, even just like 20 feet from yesterday about, you're able to do more, even just small. I always say this to my patients. I'd rather have you do something than nothing at all today. And I'd rather have you maintain something than lose something. So technically, that's already life coaching right there. And hey, I'm not paid to do that. So why not have people, like say when they're done with their physical therapy treatment, they achieve their goals physically. Now we technically, like you, Scott, for sure, you have patients that become your friends as upon discharge, and you can talk life, have like a coffee, and wow, I've met some very intelligent people. I met some athletes, retired athletes wanting to do more with their life. I actually met an professional basketball assistant coach, and that's sweet, right? And you learn a lot from them and their life, but technically they are also wanting to learn from you, from your perspective, because how they do work, like say 20, 30 years ago, is not the same as they do work or business today. So that's where it all triggered me to go life coaching. And I started, coaching young people in my church before 10 years ago. And most of them are now fulfilled with their careers. And I'm doing that for free, like a ministry. And I said, why not do it today? Because you know what? There is a problem. I know you can relate to this, Scott, with the student debt ratio nowadays. What if 1 hour with a life coach will help you save hundred thousands of dollars to end up with a course or a certificate or a graduate degree that will not give you the profit or the return of investment or advantage of what you put into it? Just think about it. What's 1 hour that will change your life anyway?
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been coaching new grads and students, in DPT programs for years now on, some financial literacy, some options that are out there beyond the 9 to 5, right? I personally feel like we can't just be this clock in, clock out 9 to 5 therapist with the way that physical therapy is heading. Right. So if that's the case, we've got to have other options. There has to be other things we can do. And again, we've already had such great skill sets that we've learned by going through grad school, organizational tasks, prioritizations, right? Goal setting, right? How important is that, right? I mean, and I've been doing these things and helping people with, awareness and mindfulness and self-talk and affirmations and all these things. Students who have, taken the NPTE and failed it, right?
Yes.
I failed it a handful of times. So I'm very keen on coaching them on how to try to get through it, right?
Yes.
And again, I'm not a content expert, but I feel like they already know the content. A lot of times it's just a mind thing, it's a subconscious thing, or it's a positive think, a positive speak thing, right? A self-awareness and a self, view on just, self-worth and stuff. So, again, there's so many different things, business, right? I've been coaching people on business. And again, we only know how to do this stuff because of the experiences that we've had within our careers, right?
Agreed.
So we have this knowledge, we have this experience. And now, again, if you want to take it a step further, you can, and take some form of course to learn and to get certified. But again, life coaching isn't a regulated field yet, right?
Yeah.
So there you don't have to get a certification. However, again, being a little bit of a nerd and a a lifelong learner, I'm going to push myself to go that extra mile to get that certification. And my certification, the first one that I started with was through Transformation Academy. And again, I love that just because I love helping people with the transformation. Tell us a little bit about certifications and why it's a good idea, or how people can look into that kind of stuff.
Amazing. Good question, Scott. Because here's the thing. I want to launch this career coaching, business coaching, leadership coaching type of a gig. And somehow when you're throwing yourself out there, you will always find someone that will ask, what's your credibility of actually coaching? I mean, I look at your resume and I don't see any coaching right there. There are just people like that. Hey, I said, I have kids. I want to throw that email back to that person who asked me. I mean, it's all, although she's anonymous, she just put her first name. But I want to try, hey, I got kids. That's already coaching and mentoring. I hope you can understand that. But at the same time, you know what? That helped me when someone criticizes you of what you love to do. You really need to up your game a little bit and say, okay, looks like I need to really get certified because I have the skills already, but I need somehow something to validate that so that if anyone asks me, because there will be people like that, you know you're doing well when people are starting to question what you're doing. And if you put the right questions also back to them, then the haters, sorry to say, will just shut their mouths up because of that. So last October, I started looking for reliable certifications. I went to International Association of Career Colleges, and guess what? They are endorsed by the Shark Tank people. So you can get wrong with that. If I mean, by the way, I'm a Mark Cuban fan. So just saying that these are people that are endorsing this, have been there, have done that, and they're coaching businesses. So why not go into it? Because the knowledge that you'll get from there and their perspective. And guess what? It's just not really the money that I'm paying for it. It's actually the concept of life coaching, because life coaching is not just a degree. It's actually a wide, vast field where the subcategories of it are financial coaching, business coaching, and there's an up and coming, they call it carbon coaching, where you teach people how to recycle. Isn't that crazy? But what you gain from there are open doors for you to really leverage and know, hey, life coaching will really be a good fit for physical therapists because we're already teaching and mentoring anyway. And I believe this, I firmly believe, I always say this is our doorway so we can penetrate that mental health space. Okay, OTs, speech therapists, they have a door towards that. But physical therapists, there's no clear door going that direction. I believe when you have a life coaching certification on your belt, it will be open doors for you to get to that industry.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of key topics there. I think, IAP is probably the next step for me. I think that'll be the next certification I get. And again, even if I were to never use these certifications ever in any way, shape, or form, the knowledge that I gained from them, I feel like would put me at a level that I feel comfortable now giving the best possible advice, mentorship, and coaching that I can to the people that come to me, whether they're, students or clients or patients or whatever, right? It's just another layer of learning how to help people along and guide them, right? Because even the best players in the world, right? The best athletes in the world have coaches, right? The coaches don't go out to throw the ball for them, and the coaches don't go out to hit the home run for them, right? They still have to step up and take the at bat, but they still have coaches, right? And like you said, there's so many subcategories that are really neat as far as mental coaches and stress coaches and relationship coaches and finance coaches, right? There's so many. Whatever your niche is, whatever you're interested in, and whatever you feel like is your superpower, lean all into that and find a coaching program that works for you to get you to that point and really hone in on the skills that you need to help provide services to people like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're just basically helping people with their careers, overcome fears, overcome barriers, right? Find their passion and their purpose, and really help rewrite their life story. And then I think another thing that you talked about there was the mental health aspect of things, right?
Yep.
And I say this all the time to my patients, because oftentimes they come in and they chat for 45, 55 minutes.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we went through a whole home exercise program or a whole exercise program, and they were just talking the whole time. I'm like, man, time really flew. I didn't know, but I feel much better. And it's like, yeah, well, A, exercise helps, but B, you were able to talk through some things and work through some things, right? And by no means are we, clinical certified, psychologists or psychiatrists or anything like that. And there's a place for those people where hopefully we as physical therapists at the very least can recognize that and know when we have to refer out. Right. I think we do a great job of referring people, when it's outside of our scope of practice. So again, it's just another benefit, I think, to be able to know when you're coaching somebody that, hey, they need a little bit more help than I can give. Right.
Yeah.
But as far as, the mental health aspect of things, I think when people come to us, a lot of times they're already dejected or they're beat down or they're burnt out.
Mm.
And it's our job then to help steer them in a path or in a direction that can help them get out of that, whether it be a new career or starting a business or, trying something new or, finding a new mindset or level that they can think on that can help them reframe the way that they're currently going about their day to day. And then if mental health becomes that big of an issue and we're seeing some psychological components, then we shift them over and send them off to the psychiatrist or the mental health professional in that case.
Definitely. I mean, I just want to add on to that. I mean, do you need to be licensed as a cheerleader? Let's just put it on that perspective. Do you need to be licensed to be a cheerleader? No. But do you need to practice good to be a good cheerleader? Yes. So meaning it involves practice, it involves, investing on your training also. But as you said, it's not regulated yet. In 2 years' time, I'm seeing it will start to be regulated because you don't want, just pop up gurus there that are not certified, just doing coaching and ended up people messing their lives because of it. So I'm an advocate that go get a certification and just be good at it. And yeah, I believe this is really a good and an emerging business or side hustle for us rehab professionals. I'm very convinced of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The more I look at it, like I said, I've already been doing this stuff for years. I've been coaching, I've been mentoring, and we educate our patients on a constant basis, and we're having to keep them motivated, and we're having to keep, finding ways to connect with them so that we can get buy-in, right? We're just so good at this stuff naturally. I just think, again, it's like an added tool in your tool belt.
Exactly.
I hate to use that cliche phrase, but
it's okay.
It's one of those things where it's like, even if you don't use it for coaching and you just use it for being a better physical therapist, I think it's a win-win in that case, right? For me, I have to mentor students throughout their journey, where I teach, right? The university requires me to have certain hours of mentoring and being an advisor to students. If this is going to help me become a better advisor to my students, well, then again, I'm all for it, right? This is just another layer that I can add to be a better coach and a better mentor. So
agree.
I'm all for it, man.
Yeah.
But
just want to add, sorry,
go ahead.
Scott, just because it's Super Bowls this coming weekend, think about it. I saw the interview of Joe Burrow, the quarterback from the Bengals. Last year, what is the Bengals standing? They're not even in the playoffs, I believe. But during his interview, he thanked the specific physical therapists that have come with him, have journeyed with him, took away their vacation time just to train him, get him back in shape. And guess what are they now? After a year of just coaching and helping him get back on his feet, they're in the Super Bowl. That's just I just throwing it out there, man. How about what coaching is all about?
Absolutely. That's again a huge aspect for physical therapy at that level is the mental aspect of getting somebody back, right? Physically, they may be 100% or 110% better than they were before even, right? But the mental aspect of making sure they know they're okay to plant and cut and run and take off and jump and do all the things they used to do after an injury, that's huge, right? And I know so many physical therapists that are great at that. So again, it's coaching, right? You see a lot of physical therapists that are in the CrossFit world, right? That do coaching with their clients, right? It's just another layer, another different aspect of coaching.
I agree.
So we do so much of it, but I'd like to ask you now a little bit about,
go ahead.
From a business side of things, if you're getting started as a life coach, what are some ways that you can address that, and if, let's say, you wanted to, get involved in that, what are some things to think about and consider when starting a life coaching gig?
Awesome. Great question, Scott. The cool thing, I mean, I know a lot of people will like this. You don't actually need a business loan to start it. You don't need to have your own brick and mortar office to start it. You only have to have your mobile phone just to get it started. Make sure that you can access some Zoom or FaceTime in there. And the cool thing about it is, with the emergence of the pandemic, everyone's doing remote now or video calls. So I would say, if you like to go in here, you need to define your big why. 100%. Why do you like to go to the realm of coaching? You need to be clear with that. Because I want coaching for you to feel that this is technically like your hobby, but you're earning good money out of it. Like you don't even think about it. Like you're having someone go for a coffee at McDonald's and they just technically pay you $100. You got relaxed mentally and you get, let's say, $100. That's amazing. But I'm just saying is really choose your big why upon doing coaching. And next, if you think that you're about 75 to 80% ready and you can get your schedules in check, I would suggest, to be honest, if you can get like a part-time job, let's say doing physical therapy or something, and start on the side of life coaching and just build your credibility by, throwing yourself out there, give some good content. And, I think there's another time that we can talk about marketing yourself as a life coach. But I just said, start where you are at. You don't need to do any loans. One person asked me, do you need to do like an LLC? I mean, depends on where you're at. If you already have an existing business, it's much easier. If you want to start something, because, of course, you want to start something that legally you're doing it the right way and not, just pay you something like not pro bono, but something like, okay, pay as you go. But I would say, yeah, have someone that have done business and you can consult your accountant or a lawyer with it. But to be honest, I've started life coaching out of my existing business and it's just a breeze. There's no hassle really to start something. And I'm getting clients. I just have one again that want to follow up with me. So I'm blessed.
Yeah, I hope that, those in the rehab field, students, professors, clinicians, will all take a minute to consider if this is something that fits with them and aligns with them, and it may not. And that's totally fine too. But if it's something that they think they may be interested in, I hope they'll take the time to do a little research and educate themselves on the possibilities. Well, Francis, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And we have one final question that we ask all of our guests. If you could change one aspect of higher education, whether it be DPT or otherwise, what aspect would you change and how would you change it?
I would say I would like more colleges and universities, to be honest, specifically for physical therapy, teach our profession to go how to do the right and ethical business. I went to DPT school, transitional DPT, last year. I graduated. Never I had a subject that really deals how to start or do the right business as a physical therapist. And I always hear, okay, get a business degree. Man, I won't spend more thousands of dollars, another more, that amount for a business degree. I hope that we can change that by allowing at least a 2-unit credit course about starting your own practice or business. That will be a game changer because it will open doors for them outside just being technically an employee done with doctor of physical therapy. You spent 6-7 years of school. And yes, we are not medical doctors, we are not lawyers, but at least we can leverage what we learned upon by teaching them the ropes, at least an introduction how to start your own practice or business. That's just what I'm saying. I think we can improve upon.
Absolutely. I mean, we see Kairos do a great job of learning business and marketing in their schooling. And there's definitely business and administration classes within DPT programs, but it doesn't seem like it's quite enough. And I get it. Part of it's because it's not really on the NPTE. So there's not enough time and room to teach for it all the time to put it in the curriculum. I totally get that. But yeah, it sure would be nice if, we definitely had some courses on business and starting your own business. And, that's part of the reason that I helped start the business and entrepreneur and private practice student special interest group at my university, because we don't have that. We have a quick and short, business and admin course, but it doesn't really go into the details of the different ways that you can start a business and the different aspects to physical therapy business. It doesn't have to be a 60,000 foot, $500,000 facility with all brand new equipment. And, there's so many ways to start a business nowadays. So I hope that, again, that at the very least, people will do a little research and this will help start the conversation on awareness of these things.
Yeah. Just a final word for out there. What you have here, Dr. Scott Field, he's just amazing. He knows how to get you to, like, if you want to start a business side hustle, get you out of debt. I mean, I've learned a lot from this guy, so you need to really check him out. Just want to let those people out there know.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Francis, where can people find you? Where's your Facebook group? Where, if they want to reach out and just ask questions or learn more about it, where can they find you online?
Sure. I have my own personal business page, drfrancisdpt.com, and Dr. Scott can just put it on the show notes probably. That's all my number right there. You can actually have a 15-minute free coaching session with me right in there, so you can get to know me. I can get to you to know what you really need is in your station of life. I love students. Just want to let you know that. I love where they're at, like from high school to college, asking me what career should he go through, or after medical school, what is the next step for this one? I love to talk about it. And that 15-minute, who knows, that will change your life forever.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put all the links in the show notes. Francis, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Access to healthcare is one of the largest issues facing both providers and patients, as millions of people worldwide lack timely and affordable access to healthcare. Anywhere Healthcare, a telehealth platform, is a simple, low-cost option for providers and patients that eliminates the barriers to access to all kinds of healthcare. To find out more, check out anywhere.healthcare, which is available on our show notes. And if you use the code HET in all caps when you email to sign up, you'll save 25% off the total cost. Thank you for attending class today, and we hope that you learned something and gained value from the content.
If you'd like to schedule office hours with us, feel free to add us on Twitter at HET Podcast, on Instagram, HET Podcast, on Facebook, the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast, and the homepage, healthcareeducationtransformationpodcast.com.
And for those of you following along in the syllabus, extra credit can be obtained by liking us, sharing us, and leaving a review.
Let's continue our journey up Mount Educational Success as lifelong learners.